Hello everyone and welcome back to English with Kayleigh. In today's video we're going to be analysing another one of Jackie Kay's poems entitled The Same Note. This poem comes from her collection Other Lovers. This is actually fourth in the collection as part of a sequence on Bessie Smith, and this one comes right after The Right Season, which is also included in the Cambridge A-level literature syllabus. So first of all I'm going to read the poem to you and then we'll get into the analysis. The Same Note. Every note she sang, she bent her voice to her will. Her voice was a wood instrument or a wind one. Her voice had the power to turn the sails of the windmill or knock down a tree with the force of a hurricane. She could get it right back like some kind of boomerang. She could use it as a shelter, the roof of her mouth, stopping the rain soon as she sang. Or she could fly out of Alabama, or float the mouth of the Mississippi Delta, or walk the solid flat plain. She could tell every story she wanted to tell, and pass them on through the new towns across the mountain. Her voice could bring people running like the church bell could when it was used as a warning. And then again, if she wanted, she could rock herself to sleep, to dream. Her own cradle swinging the same note again and again, the same note, the solid flat plain. Exactly the same note, like the church bell could bring people running. Could tell them she'd been in their heaven or hell. Every note she sang, she bent her voice to her will. Okay, so let's get into the analysis of it. So the topic covers, of course, this is again part of the sequence on Bessie Smith, and it talks about blues music. So the themes that we see here, I mean, one of the main themes is the connection. So not only the connection between Kay and Smith, but also the connection of music and people, and very importantly, the power of music. In terms of structure, it's very much unlike some of Kay's others in the collection. We have this continuous stanza, we do not have any breaks, and it almost reflects the perseverance of Smith and her voice and of the people and the community. So in terms of the title, The Same Note, we almost see this unity in diversity, this connection of people, which is of course one of the important themes within this collection. Within Other Lovers we see connections among people, and this can be family or community, and especially if we pay attention and look at The Right Season and Even the Trees, it looks at building a community and how they persevere through tough times. Okay, so now on to the poem itself. So I'll discuss AO5 at the end, which is of course a component that you have to hit in the A-level exam. But if we just take a look at the very first and last line of the poem, we see this repetition. Every note she sang, she bent her voice to her will. So again, we get the emphasis on the structure here. This is it's a continuous cycle, if you will, not only of Smith and her themes and her perseverance, but also of the community as well. So we see a semantic field of nature coming throughout the poem, and I've just highlighted a few here with wood, wind, a tree and hurricane. So obviously nature is a very common topic in Kay's works, and I think she's used it here to highlight the power of nature and music. So when she says her voice had the power to turn the sails of the windmill or knock down a tree with the force of a hurricane, much moving on from the power of nature and music, almost to re-emphasize it again, is the power in voice. We've got this, hyperbolic statements that she could knock down a tree just with the sound of her voice. And again, nature often comes up in blues music, and almost, overcoming difficulties. And nature is often used as a symbol of this. We saw that in even the trees with Billie Holiday's song, and there's a lot of crossover there. She could get it right back like some kind of boomerang. She could use it as a shelter, the roof of her mouth, stopping the rain soon as she sang. We see the repetition of this she could. So here we've got this repetition of the modal verb, and this really shows the ability to overcome difficulty and issues, and this is a very prevalent theme in blues music. It really highlights the determined mindset of the community, and in particular the black community, which of course Kay identifies with, being a black woman living in Scotland. Then we have she could use it as a shelter. So here we get this imagery and this idea of a safe place. So when people are engrossed and listening to her music, it's a safe place for people. And we've seen this in previous poems, the tent that was put up in the right season where people could go to listen to her music, really providing a safe place for people. Stopping the rain as soon as she sang. So yes, the rain here really being a metaphor for hardships and sadness, in that as soon as she would sing, she could make those things go away. So in this section then, we hear the diversity of Smith's voice coming through. So she could tell the story she wanted to tell, and that could be on a flat plain or across the mountains. So there are two things coming through here. There's strength in her voice, in how she can extend her voice and her message through towns, through cities, across the mountains. But also this idea that she's very, very soothing, that people would want to go to her. It would bring people running. So this juxtaposing idea of strength and intensity, but also soothing at the same time. So again, we have seen this in one of Kay's previous poems where she's talking about Bessie, and when Bessie starts to sing, she begins to use rhyme in her poetry. So this partial rhyme here reflects the nature of music and also Smith's voice. And of course, this is characteristic of Kay's work. When she writes about Smith, she does use rhyme throughout, especially when she's giving a nod to blues music. So then, in terms of AO5, you could talk here about Catherine Aylis. So she says that Kay manipulates the tools of her trade. Her poems don't meekly use traditional forms, but rather scratch at language to reveal its structures. She promotes a variety of perspectives, and she describes prejudice not in abstractions, but through describing its impact on the experience of the individual and his or her community. So as opposed to, arguing and fighting and showing her views in more of an aggressive way, she almost allows people to make up their own minds just by, honing in on Bessie and her experience and her music and how it possibly changed Kay's life and how that can do the same for other people, as we know it did. So that's everything for this poem. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.